Right, today we're going to talk about Chag Sukkot, which is just tomorrow night. But I'm going to take you on a little different journey, with your permission, of course. I'll take you on a little journey and try to give you some Kabbalistic aspects of this Chag, hopefully using some fundamental guidelines that we use in Kabbalah all the time. So, the Jewish holidays are completely different than the holidays of other nations. They don't represent any kind of a historical event, or victory in war, or the birth of someone, or the death of the other one, and so on and so forth. The Jewish holidays, which were given to us by God through the Torah, of course, really come to describe to us different stages in the spiritual development of each and every one of us as people. Thank you so much. And also the development of us as a nation.
Amen.
So, in other words, the Jewish calendar is a spiritual calendar. The process of spiritual process of development of all of us, as the Mekubalim explained to us, is really a process of creating mutual responsibility or connection through mutual responsibility between one another. And those connections are being established gradually. It doesn't happen all of a sudden. It happens gradually, stage by stage, and every time you find, or supposed to at least find, different layers and depths in those relationships through those stages. Every level of a connection is another station, is another stop towards reaching the final destination. And that is, the goal is really a connection and a complete balance between all mankind and creation itself. And that level of connection, that new level of connections that reveals in every stage, that's when we celebrate and we mark it as a holiday, as a Jewish holiday. That's really what it's all about. Guys, by the way, this is all thanks to Jonathan.
My brother.
His brother, Kugel and Chulent. So don't be shy. And by the way, this is the Refuah Shlema of Chaim Israel Halevi Ben Batya, Mazal Bat Leah. Anybody else Refuah Shlema? Yeah, Refuah Shlema, no?
Sveta Bat Sarah.
Svieta Bat Sarah.
Ariela Hen Bat Mazal.
Ariela Chen Bat Mazal. Elem Refuah Shlema. So Chag Sukkot is one of what we call the three holidays. Of course, they used to make pilgrimage to Bet HaMikdash, and things were completely different during the time of Bet HaMikdash than they are today. And this holiday is celebrated on Tetvav and Tishrei. Tetvav and Tishrei, last time I counted was 15 of Tishrei. And it's been celebrated for 7 days. The tradition tells us that this holiday is being celebrated as a commemoration of going out of Egypt and the huts in which Bnei Israel sat down in the desert for 40 years. The only thing is there's a little problem with that.
Supposedly they say that the Arabic word for the pilgrimage to Hajj comes to the Hebrew word Chag.
Chag, yeah. Chag, yeah.
That's the times when they would meet pilgrimages.
Mm-hmm. So that is explanation is nice, but of course it is a little bit problematic. I mean, some questions. Question number one, if is to remember Yetziat Mitzrayim, coming out of Egypt, so why do we celebrate in the fall? I mean, it would make more sense, right? Yetziat Mitzrayim happened in the spring. So we should have celebrated in the spring. It would make more sense to celebrate Chag Pesach in the spring, eating matzah and maror, and sitting in the Succot. That would be perfect. I mean, what are you doing it now? I don't understand that. And why do we have to sit in the Sukkot when we know from Bilam that they actually said in what? In tents. Ma tovu Alecha Yaakov, your tents, Yaakov, not your Sukkot. So what's going on here? They're telling us stories all this time. So in order to understand the real meaning of this Chag, or the mystical meaning of this Chag, we need to understand the overall structure of Chodesh Tishrei, which we explained already previously, but the whole structure of Chodesh Tishrei. According to the Mekubalim, Chodesh Tishrei is basically one long holiday that starts at Rosh Hashanah and ends up in Simchat Torah. And the purpose of that is what we call the vessel, in other words, the neshama. The neshama is the vessel. And it really, the purpose is building that and renewal, or giving the person, us as people, the chance of renewal all the time. And that process has, of course, few stages in it. So we have the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, right, which is called Yemei Adin. And we explained this before. It starts from Rosh Hashanah, basically all the way to Tfilat Nehila on Yom Kippur, when we learn from the pasuk of Smolot Tachat Rushi, right? His left hand under my head, and that is really building up the willingness or the ability of us to receive. During this time is the receive. According to the Kabbalah, that's called Kav Small, the left line. That's why the representation of Smolot Tachat Roshi. Now, this stage connects to the creation of the world and our own renewal every year in such a way. At this stage, we really purify ourselves in terms of all our wills and desires and so on and so forth, and any kind of filth that comes of negative feelings that comes to our wills, because sometimes we want something and it becomes very negative. So we need to understand, this is really some crazy ideas here. Let me just tell you that it's really amazing. So those negative energies really interrupt the person to reach what he really wants and what he really needs. And that will be during this time, through the slicha, forgiving, the tshuva, the cheshbon hanefesh, your own personal account that you take in, the tefillot that we pray, the tkiyat shofar, fasting, and so on and so forth. These are all vehicles or instruments that help us reach that spiritual purity. Taking and analyzing each one of them, it's not really right now, but if you want, you can ask me later on. Each one has a different stage. What we say, cheshbon hanefesh, tshuva, shofar, slicha, tefillah, mechila, and so on and so forth. Now, the goal is, we said, to reach spiritual purity and preparing ourselves to receive the shefa, the abundance, which is the bracha that comes into the new year. Which during this time of the year, we're being determined mila chayim, mila mavet, right, and so on and so forth, as we say in the tefillah. Then we have the Yemei Sukkot, the time of Sukkot, which are really the days of chesed, of kindness. Now, the next stage is the continuation of the other pasuk, right? We say, Smolot Tachat Roshi. Now, Yemino Techabekeni. Now, his left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. It's basically like hugging someone. And that comes immediate, Shalom Aleichem. By the way, guys, I want to tell you something. Wow, we were on Italian TV today.
Oh.
Right? It was crazy. Italian TV in Borough Park. It was unbelievable. Check it out at Trogim. Chaval that you missed, but it's okay. So,
Looking at Italian etrogim?
I'm sorry?
Looking at Italian
No, the guy actually grows etrogim in Italy, and I guess they were doing some kind of a documentary. It's a whole team of people with cameras, and there's I was talking to the guy, exchanging some words in Italian, and the guy was very happy. Somebody speaks Italian. All of a sudden, Zalman taps on my shoulder and says, "You're on TV." I said, "What are you talking about?" I look behind. There's a whole bunch of people on TV and pictures. It was interesting. So, the time of Sukkot, as we says, Yemino techabekeni, his right hand will embrace me. At the end of it, the energy of the universe shifts and changes, and we shifting from the left side, the din energy, to the tzad yamin, to the right side, which is more positive energy. I wouldn't say positive, is a different type of energy of love and kindness and compassion. and that is the ability to give, and to really, by doing so, influencing society all around you. And that's why you have to see people who are very cheap, right? They are, something is wrong with their right side because they're not willing to give. That's why it has to have a deen on the other side to really overpower that. But too much of that, you create a problem. So you can really analyze a lot of your personal traits based on Kabbalistic terms and to see where your blemishes and what you really need to fix. That's the beauty of our Torah. And this is really fantastic. So, and this energy really saturates itself into the neshama as well. Yes.
I was thinking because in Halachot Deot, the Rambam talks about how every characteristic is either an excess or deficiency of some midah.
Absolutely.
So excess would be chesed oriented.
That's right.
Deficiency would be
That's right. That's right. That's why we have a mother and we have a father, right? And there are different attributes that really should complement one another. When you have two mothers and two fathers, you're creating a chaos. You're going to create an oversaturation and deficiency somewhere else. I mean, without talking about it, it's like almost like perfect concept in terms of, let's say, Chinese medicine, Oriental medicine, and what it is. And by the way, the same thing with the Rambam writes, in his medicinal writing, the illness of the body, according to that mindset, really comes from imbalance in your body, not because you know one thing or the other. It's all about keeping the balance of the body. So that then applies to your soul as well. So that light that really starts to come to penetrate into us at the end of Yom Kippurim, this is that energy of life, that light, and whatever it is that the person would be charged with. That's what he's going to carry with him into the new year. And what was that? As a result of what you did during the month of Elul, during the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, how much you were willing to really clean your vessel, how much you will be able to get rid of negative attributes that you have, the ability to forgive, to forget, and so on and so forth. That will determine your level of abundance, of kindness, and ability you get in the world. Not how many hours you're going to do overtime and how much you're going to scheme the IRS, which is absolutely wrong to do. When a person starts to scheme and does all kind of like monkey business like this, not only that it's illegal and halachically is wrong, but also doesn't really believe in what needs to be done, that everything comes from Hashem, and you get what you deserve, and therefore as a result of that, if you get something, it's going to come from a very impure source. So listen, let me tell you something. You better watch out. You need to really work on yourself. So you see from here how beautiful it is that your physical condition, your wealth, and so on and so forth, and your health really depends on the balance that you have in your spirituality and your spiritual state of mind and what you actually worked on yourself, which is fantastic. Which is really fantastic. So now, that level of the measure of light that we get during this time really determines the overall level of satisfaction and the level of achievement that you will have to have. It will determine his financial situation, his health, his koach, his force that you have throughout the whole entire light. The whole entire year. That light is called internal light, opnimi. That's the internal light. Now, the internal light really is inside the vessel, which is inside the neshama, and it really symbolizes that what we already achieved and what we were able to accomplish, to fix, and that becomes a part of us. That's why we said you have to forgive, you have to forget, you have to do chesed, because that's a part of your or pnimi. Now, slowly, right, what happens is we receive ourselves that, and then automatically, right after Yom Kippur, after Tfilat Nila, we get the whole entire thing. But that happens in stages. Slowly, it means by stages. There are 5 stages that we get, and these are the 5 levels of chesed during the time between Yud Aleph B'Tishrei and Tedvav B'Tishrei. The time between Yom Kippurim and Sukkot. These are the 5 stages of chesed that you get. You get it through, you don't get one boost like this because you're not going to be able to function. You get small dosages, drips through 5 days of that Opnimi. And that is, in other words, as we said, remember, Opnimi is everything that we worked on last year and what we were able to achieve spiritually during the times of the 10 days of Tshuva. Now, that's the Opnimi. Now we have O Mekif, external light. The external light is the light that really surrounds us, that we haven't yet achieved, that we haven't yet received, and we were not able yet to fix in our neshama, in our being. Each one of us has a different Or Mekif. Each one of us has a different Or Mekif, surrounding light, surrounding energy. Call it, I don't want to call it aura because then it sounds like New Age, but it's actual light like that. In other words, each and every one of us has his own personal tikkun, what he needs to fix, that he needs to fix throughout his life. And that will determine the quality and the intensity of his life. In other words, the goals in which you came, or the purpose in which you came to this world, will be determined by or will be reflected by your or mekif, your external light, or surrounding light. Whatever you need to understand, whatever problems you need to overcome, and so on and so forth, that's your own task. That's why if you wait for somebody to solve your problems, you're never going to get rid of your problems. That's why I keep saying, if you have a problem, especially before you get married, let's say you have so fix the problem before you get married. You need to fix it. That's your tikkun. It's not your wife's job or your husband's job to fix what you need to fix. So come ready for that. Then you're going to be able, because if you haven't yet worked on yourself and fixed what needs to be fixed, you're going to come, let's say you get your right zivug. Let's say. Which is quite doubtful. Because when your light, or the energy is not settled well inside of you, what happens is you can't see right. It's like, let's say you have glasses, right? And you have the right lens, but your stigmatism is a little off. You're going to see dizzy. You're not going to be able to see clear. So very likely you're going to pick the wrong person. But let's say you're able to identify the right person. Still something is missing, and that creates an unnecessary tension, and then how things start to escalate and it becomes worse and worse. You don't sweep things under the carpet. You lift the carpet and you clean it all up, and you clean the carpet as well afterwards. That's why maybe it's good for you to go to the army, go to the military. We'll teach you how to keep your stuff neat, your room neat. Now, the second one is the other issue is that the Succot, Tetvav B'Tishrei, as we said, the Or Mekif start to penetrate inside, and the energy of that light that really comes around will determine your motivation throughout the year, your ability to have a vision to what you want or who you are, and so on. Thank you so much. A week surrounding light, which really means Rifyon Yadayim. You're going to be very weak. Or it's saying Yiddish, Shvach HaMaaseh. Your actions are not really, you don't have the guts to do it. You're like really running down on like 2 pistons out of 8. And by the way, I love 8 V8 engines, I'll tell you. I'm sorry to say that, Actually, I'm not sorry to say that. I love V8 engine. I missed my Mustang. But it's okay. I love V8 engines. Why? Because of the power behind it. It's roaring and it's good. Good for your surrounding light. Go learn to live life at full speed ahead. Now don't use some electric cars that don't make a sound. It sounds like aliens coming from space. Makes this crazy stuff, By the way, do you see how they hack into those cars? It's crazy. Now, if you have a weak light, you're going to be also very sluggish. You're going to procrastinate. You're going to have very low motivation throughout the whole entire year. So that's an indication for you. If you are finding yourself a procrastinator, you're finding yourself weak, you find yourself depressed, you're finding yourself in all these things, there are issues that you refuse to deal with, and that's why you are the way you are. And that spirituality actually affects even your physicality, the way you act toward the light. In surrounding light, in the Or Mekiv, there's two main components. There is quality and velocity, how much power there is in it, intensity of the light. A strong surrounding light a person will have very strong motivation, excitement. He's going to have the ability to overcome obstacles. He doesn't see obstacles. He only sees, as they say, he doesn't see problems. He only sees solutions. These are people who overcome. And by the way, if you have this attitude, you become what? Successful. So instead of blaming the whole entire world why you are, whatever you are, and still haven't reached anywhere in your life, and whatever you have is because somebody else handed it to you, not because you worked hard on it, it's because your Or Mekif is bad. And the reason why your Or Mekif is bad is because you're still avoiding what you need to work on. Now, can you stop the slurping? It's quite annoying. Thank you. Now, when you have a good quality of surrounding light, really mean you're going to have a lot of virtues. You're going to be motivated by virtues. You're going to be able to create a vision to yourself. You're going to create inspiration and ability to see beyond the horizon. You see things, above and beyond. That's why a leader should have good surrounding light. A person like this is able to see the problem. When everybody is down, he's able to lead the people beyond that. Not like today, that the leaders are hiding somewhere, and again, but that's why our leaders are no leaders, because they're not dealing with the issues they need to deal with. Now, a surrounding light, the light that is not, I keep saying life instead of light, surrounding light that is not of high quality would really manifest itself in very gray life. Those people who go on the bus every single day, they sit down like this, they, endless, meaningless,
Slow death.
Slow death, man. It's like zombies. Life who are not interested in anything, life with no vision, life without balance, life that is not really worth it to call life. And that's sometimes why I'm very much tell you, guys, you gotta go out. You gotta go out, go to nature, go alone, go to trips, get out of your comfort zone, get out of mommy's skirt, for crying out loud. You're already too old. Go. Struggle. Refuse. That's why they say, person who hates gifts, soneh matanot, yichyeh. Why? Because when you want something, you work for it, that's called chayim. Oh, I got it. It's mine. I got it. When somebody gives you something all the time and you are looking to get gifts and get handouts from people all the time, that's not life. Because you have no surrounding light. You have no ability. That's not life. That's just passing the time. That's like burning time. It's like waste of a life. So what I'm trying to tell you, this is right now, you are at the, and by the way, this is why we need to get out of Succot, out of the house. That's one of the reasons we need to get out of the house. Get out of your comfort zone. Go in the rain. Go in the temporary dwelling. Get out of it. Don't try to cheat the thing. Oh, I'm going to make a revolving door on the ceiling on top with angled. No, let it drip. It's okay. Suffer. Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable sometimes is very good. When you get to very comfy life, oh my goodness, you get fat, not only your body, also your mind. And that's a horrible thing. Lo matzah kadosh baruch hu liYisrael midah tova ela aniyut. Being poor, because being poor, you have a vision. I want to come out of it. I want something, I'm going to work for it, because nobody's going to give it to me. Daddy is not going to head me out of the house. Daddy's not going to have me out of business. Daddy's not going to buy me a car. I want it, I'll get it. Now, it doesn't make a difference. It could be a beat up jalopy, some kind of like a junky car. But you bought it and it's yours. No handouts from Daddy. You don't have the money? Well, take the subway. But better if you take the subway than you get a handout from Daddy. I told you, I always tell my wife, why, when my father-in-law, her father-in-law wanted to give her her car, he had a beautiful chocolate Corvette. I love. He says, take it. And my wife said, no, we're going to buy the car. I still tell her, we should have taken the Corvette. It would have been a good thing. But, oh man, it kills me. But I got to say it, and I'll say it out in the open. Hey, she was right. We'll buy our own. You move on in life. A friend of mine in Israel used to have this, he said to me, I bought the car for, at the time, was 500 shekels. But I put a stereo of 1,000 shekels in it. It made the ride much easier. But, the same thing with his house. He has this tiny little, dinky little apartment. And since then he changed maybe Shechianu v'kimanu v'gianu. Look who's here. Right in time for Chulent and Kugel. So, since then, this guy already changed maybe 10 apartments. And from one it gets better. Every time he moves on, it gets better. But that shows a good life. By the way, when you worked on yourself in terms of that, working on your midot, on yourself, doesn't just mean to become humble, to become this, or become that. Working on your midot is working what you know you need to work on, and what you're most lazy about. That's what you need to work on also. When you work on yourself like this, and by the way, fix your surrounding light, the people attract to you like moth to the light. That's exactly it. People gravitate towards you. You want to get a good shidduch? Yeah? Not a problem. Work on yourself. Show vision. Show, ability to do things, to overcome. When you're going to marry a woman, I hope that's what Hashem, right? A woman wants to marry a man. Doesn't want to marry a man that is like a woman. For that, he doesn't need you. You can marry another woman. So, but a man means a person who is able to overcome. Gever in Hebrew, which is a man, mishum shegover. Not only al yitzro, ligvor is to overcome. A gever, gimel bet resh, he's gover. He overcomes whatever obstacle in his way. That's what makes you a man. Not the size of your muscle or any other, or the size of your neck or any other parts of your body. That does not make you a man. Doesn't make you a man if you drive a car or you walk, or what kind of car you drive. What makes you a man is your ability to overcome hardship, to create a vision. Then, hey, you want women to be attracted to you. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. You want men to be, to follow you. Well, that's what it is. That's the recipe for success. You want to be successful. That's the recipe for success. You can't be a successful person and be lazy. You can't be a successful person that doesn't deal with issues. You can't be a successful person that doesn't go through hardship and fails and fails and fails and keep on going. And it's okay to fail. It's okay. But of course, if mommy raised you all these years and you're afraid of failure, well, as I said to you, sometimes mommy is your worst enemy. That's why you have a daddy that said, no, you can't. Let him get his own job. Now, the Kabbalah teaches us that the surrounding light is also a light of protection. It protects us. Why? Because a person that has a very positive surrounding light and it's very powerful, always going to find himself what? In the right time, in the right place, at the right time. Always. Because that going to, by keep on going and moving on, that creates a certain momentum of opportunity to yourself. So you're always going to be in the right time, in the right place, at the right time. And that personal development will really help you to avoid many problems, or getting involved with issues or problems, disasters, hardship, or anything else that is like waiting for you around the corner in a dark alley. This is, in a way, the secret of the Sukkah. The Sukkah means lesochech. Lesochech is to hover over. So therefore, the protection of the Sukkah is by making you uncomfortable. The protection of the Sukkah, the idea behind it, that it makes you feel that life has an end, and you better make the best out of it. And don't feel so comfortable in your house with radiant heat and jacuzzi that you, or whatever it is, a sauna that you turn into a storage, get uncomfortable. Do some cold plunging, by the way. It's the time for cold plunging soon, Rabotai. Winter is coming. It's good to get uncomfortable. And by the way, you get healthy from that. Now, the mystical secret of the Sukkah is, we're coming towards it. So therefore, let's go back to this. What it really has to do with the Yetziat Mitzrayim coming out of Egypt. So it tells us that the legend, or the Midrash tells us that when the Bnei Israel were in the desert, there are three gifts because of the three brothers, right? It's Moshe, they got the man, Miriam, they got the well, and Aaron, they got Ananei Kavod, the crowds of glory. According to the same Midrash, during the whole time of walking in the desert, those 7 layers of clouds surrounded Am Yisrael, and because of that surrounding clouds, no harm came to them. And because of that, none of them died. Their shoes didn't worn out, the clothes didn't worn out, everything was intact. That was the protection. So you see from here, by the way, that sometimes the protection is the so-called the luck that you have to use. But luck, guys, is what you create to yourself. It's what you create to yourself. By having the proper and good attitude. When you have a stinking attitude, you have stinky luck. Actually, you have no luck. So fix your attitude. So, besides those, of course, who died in the Chet HaMeraglim, all of them were protected. So when Torah says that sitting on the Sukkah is a commemoration for Bnei Israel and the Sukkot, this is basically a code that wants to hint us that the Sukkah represents those clouds of glory that protected Am Yisrael, and this is a receptacle or some kind of a apparatus that really helps us to receive those powers of protection. How many ushpizin, by the way, in the Sukkah?
7.
We have 7. Each of the 7 ushpizin has its own level of protection that we invite into the Sukkah to represent that day. So that's why it's very important that you don't skip a day without sitting in the Sukkah. To get that, when you call upon those ushpizin, those spiritual ushpizin, you are basically interacting with like some massive power out there. The Magen David, and the Yosef, and Magen Avraham, and so on and so forth. So this is not something that you should be taking lightly. Again, my wife, God bless her, man, if I, for whatever reason, get caught up with something and don't say the ushpizin, it is ushpizin. Okay, well, hold on a second, everybody's down, it's still ushpizin. Sometimes I forget it. What can I tell you? That's why I have a good wife. So now,
should we speak about the ushpizin also?
We're going to speak about the ushpizin, the movie?
No. Should we speak about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Every night, different ushpizin.
Every night, exactly. Every night, each one has its own level. Its own special characteristics that has to do with the protection that is necessary for us to receive that day to be able to provide us on our journey. And that's, I don't know about you, but for me, this is like super exciting. This stuff is really super exciting. I still have a lot to go. You guys don't mind if we're going to be a little bit late for Arvin, right? You don't mind? Okay, good. So those lights, of course, they're all lights of Chasadim. And they are present and so-called being waved upon us during the time of Chag Sukkot, and it basically goes throughout the whole entire universe. Chag Sukkot, of course, is a great opportunity for us to really pull those powers into our lives, and really, so we'll be able to operate and really achieve our goals better. So slowly, here also, the lights of the Chasadim enter or penetrate into our being slowly, stage by stage. In other words, day by day, and so on. So the strongest light of all those 7 lights that really come into the Sukkah, that come to us, into the surrounding lights that come to us, really comes, and I'm sorry to tell you that, guys, on the first day of Sukkot. It comes on the first day of Sukkot. And of course, that is also why is that? Because during this day, remember we spoke about the 5 lights of Chesed that come between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. During that day, you get the light of the Chesed of the Ushpiz of that particular day, which is Avraham, plus the days of the Chesed of the other day. So you get double dosage of protective light of Chesed that coming into your entity, coming into your being, help you really, carry on. So that's a very powerful day. That's why, we must do whatever we can in our power, if it is allowed to us, to sit in the Sukkah and at least eat a kebeitza, to make the mitzvah of the Sukkah, Yishev b'Sukkah, call the Ushpizim, and then if you have to go out, but it's very important for us to do that. That's why the Mekubalim said that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if it rains heavily and we're not able to sit in the Sukkah, it's not a good sign for us. The reason is because of that. What's the bad sign for us? We're going to be lacking those kochot, the powers that we call upon during this double dosage, the double shot of chesed that comes to us, and therefore we will have to make it up some other way. It doesn't mean that you move on. You need to make it up some other way. Now, this is a very, very strong power, especially for the 5 days. The last day of the tikkun of between Yom Kippur and Sukkot is the most powerful day, and that comes through the kedusha, the holiness and the kindness that comes through the universe, through the whole entire universe during Dafka this day. And this is when because it's a Chag. So when the rest of the lights come into us, and there's going to be a little bit less kedusha, and until we have those 7 days of what? We have Chol HaMoed. We have the days of Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed means it's still Chag, but it's already Chol, so it's not so strong. That's why the first day is super strong. We are lucky that we have 2 days in Chutz La'aretz. Why? Now you see why it's important to keep 2 days in Chutz La'aretz. If you understand those concepts, what? What'd you say?
To make it up.
Because in Chutz La'aretz we need extra protection. We need extra chesed. So come Chachamim now and turn the bucket on us and say, listen, it's not because we want to torture you. It's because we want to give you an extra chance to make it, because in Chutz La'aretz it's very difficult. So don't take the second day of Chag lightly. On the contrary, you have to be very serious about it. This understanding, all of a sudden, I don't know for you guys, at least for me, it opens my mind, and I'm like, racing at like 200 miles an hour. Yes, sir.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
So if every night of Sukkot represents a different midah, so ends up being that the Hoshana Rabbah would be the sphere of Malchut, which is Gzal Din. Is that why we say that's when the din is
That's
sealed?
when the din is sealed. That's right. That's what we call it Pitkat HaTava. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yes, exactly it. You got it. So according to Halacha, the minimal here, that's for you, Zalman. According to Halacha, the minimal requirement for a sukkah, for a kosher sukkah, is 2 walls and a tefach. And this is why? Because we said Sukkot is Yemino Techabekeni. Yemino is your right hand, right? Now, the 2 walls are the 2 parts. It's this, beautiful biceps, by the way, and then the forearm. This is 1 wall, that's another wall, and then you have the tefach, which is your hand. That's the minimal amount that you need for a sukkah to represent that. Now, so therefore we are right now being embraced, so-called, by the right hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is really the Sfirat of Binah. That from there we came all the Shefa, and according to Kabbalah it's called Ima Ila'ah, so called it superior mother superior. It doesn't matter, right? So that connection to the surrounding lights really takes place during the time of the Sukkah, and therefore we need to have the proper kavanah to really bring it upon ourselves in the sukkah, and that's why we need to eat in the sukkah. That's why the seudah this is all symbolic. So now all of a sudden you eat in the sukkah, there's a difference why you have to be kover seudah. Because the kiviyat seudah, that shows the shefa. So in order to create the shefa, is the same story with who? Who is the guy who had the water, the miracle with the oil?
Elisha.
Elisha. And what Elisha said?
Give me more jars.
As long as you have jars to fill empty, it'll be filled up. So the food that we eat basically is not just food that we eat like animals. This is the receptacle in which the bracha can come into our life. That's why it has to be seudat keva. You can't just eat seudat keva means a meal. You have to eat לפחות הכזית, if not ביצה or bread, and then you make the bracha leishev basukah. So when you make the bracha leishev basukah, you are starting the process of drawing the light into you, of establishing that quality of the day inside of you. That's why it needs to be with a bracha. A bracha needs to be, and a bracha shora al davar shesamui min ha'ayin, right? But in order to put the bracha, you need to have a kli, a receptacle to hold the bracha. And that's why samui min ha'ayin, that's why sukkah, only Jews consider the sukkah. You can't invite your best friend Gentile into sukkah. Only Jews in the sukkah. It's for us only. No goy can come to the sukkah. So if you have, I'm sorry?
Waiter.
No waiter. No waiter. When he's in what the Gemara with Avodah Zarah said, that's why you should have come. They had the chance with the sukkah. That's why a goy does not sit in the sukkah. He doesn't enter in the sukkah. No waiter, no batich.
Well, it's possible, right?
Huh?
Yes, it's possible.
Unless the sukkah is pasul, but then what you doing sitting there? Might as well sit at home. All right? So you see, all of a sudden, all these things really come. Now, how do you do it more? You need to learn in the sukkah. If you can. In New York, it's very difficult. But in Israel, you sleep in the sukkah. Even praying in the sukkah. I remember years when Rabbi Chaim was in Kew Gardens, sometimes in Succot, we'll make the minyan in the sukkah. Not alone, take the Sefer Torah, everything we'll do the minyan in the sukkah. Of course, if it's not raining, right? And that's why it's very important also to invite guests to the sukkah. By inviting people in, you are connecting even further into the quality of chasadim, of love, of giving, and so on and so forth. Now, we have a few more minutes. Okay, let's go on. So now let's talk about some of the rituals of the Chag according to Kabbalah. So the Kabbalah does not refer to Chag Sukkot as an agricultural holiday, but really shows us, right, like any other holiday. As we said before, that he's not talking about a history, and it's not a memorial or something, but to that spiritual power, the strong spiritual power of that particular Chag, and teaches us how each minhag that we have, or mitzvah in the sukkah, really connected to this process of great change that we all hoping to have within ourselves, the great change that we need to go on to our life. So let's talk, for example, about the schach. We talked about ananei kavod. Let's talk about the schach. So the schach has two parts. It's called the ananei kavod, and then the other part is called psolet goren v'yekev bayo. Right, the psolet, the remnants of goren, which is the cuttings in which they have in the vineyards and whatever it is like this. So what's the sort of that? Because right now they're cutting down all the grapes, and they need to prune the grapes and prune the trees so they can grow and give more fruit for next year. So what do I do with all this stuff? With all the stuff that I cut? Well, what do? You're going to put it on the schach. That's what I'm going to do. That doesn't make sense. Now, it says, as we said before, that the sukkah and the schach really represent the 7 clouds of glory that escorted Am Yisrael through the journey. So what is the internal part of that? What does it mean? So Bala Sulam explains that a cloud really means covering of the sun. Right? Because there's the sun and then the covering of the sun. Because as much as we in our world cannot look directly at the sun and really benefit from it unless we're going to cover it, right? I mean, apropos, shades and clouds, and because you can't really, look at it like that. So the Kabbalah teaches us that we need to work all our life to do a certain cover, to put a certain restriction. And that restriction is on abundance. Yes, Rabotai, to put a limit on the dulce vita. Talking about Italian, so talking about the dulce vita. Why is that? Because as people, as humans, we were all created as a receptacle to receive pleasure as well. When an animal eats, the animal doesn't say, oh, très bien, this is very good. Right? You give the dog a steak, he'll eat the steak. You give him a chicken. Give the cow grass, the cow eats grass. He doesn't say, oh, yummy, yummy, I want this. We enjoy what we eat. There's a certain level of enjoyment into what we do. And because we're enjoying, we want to receive as much pleasure as we can. And not only as much as we can, we want to now and always we want maximum pleasure with minimum effort. Right? Basically laying down on the sofa and somebody will drop, grapes into our mouth when we go like this. All we have to do is just chew it, right? Something of that sort, right? Like Alibaba, huh?
A lot of work.
Oh yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, but that's what we do. Social progress by government is something similar to that. Look what it does to you. So therefore, what's the problem with that? If there is abundance, well, abundance is great. Let's have as much as we can. However, there is and if there is a kli, a vessel that wants it, so there's perfect world here, right? And it's not. Because we need to understand that all the wrongdoing in our life, everything that is bad and wrong in our lives, comes from that we don't know how to handle and to receive the shefa, the abundance. Let's put it this way. To eat is a pleasure, right? You eat something good, you go to a nice Hungarian bakery, buy yourself a nice poppy seed cake with a good cup of coffee. That's pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's enjoyable, right? Go to Borough Park, you see exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're going to eat too much of that, it's already suffering. Money is also pleasure. But really, money could really mess up your brains very easily if you're not going to put limits on how you're going to handle it and how you're going to deal with it, basically. And so is, therefore, anything that we associate with pleasure, you're going to go too much of it, it's going to cause you a problem. Too much abundance. Now, in Hebrew, the word shefa, how do we spell shefa? Shin pe'ayin. If you take shefa and you mix it out, you get pesha. Pesha. It's going to be a crime for you. You're going to do something bad. You're going to do something wrong, which too much abundance. When you have nothing to worry about, you're acting like an animal instead of acting, becoming more spiritual. We act like animals. That's why sometimes war is the great correction of society, right? There is all of a sudden things are not there, and then you start to appreciate what you have. The usual story. Besides, war is always good for economy, but not for you, but for the big companies. That's a different story. Now let's take the word, the oneg. Oneg is what? Pleasure. How do you spell oneg? Ayin, nun, gimel. Last time I checked. How do you spell the word nega? Nun gimel ayin.
That's your question.
What's nega? Affliction. So any oneg could become affliction at the end. Too much is not good. You need to put boundaries. You need to have boundaries. If you are smart and you really want to enjoy things, you really need to put boundaries. Imagine yourself, you're going to have, I don't know what. Let's say it's kosher, but it's not. Let's say you buy beluga caviar, right? I don't know what, $1,000 or 100 grams, something crazy like that, right? Now imagine I'm going to give you a big thing like this, a big bucket of beluga caviar, stick your head in it. I mean, right away it's like disgusting, it doesn't taste good. How much can you eat of this thing? You're going to die of salt poisoning. Anything like that, too much, it's no good. And that's what we learn as Jews, to lin b'midah. That's why everything for us has to have a measurement. How much you have to drink, revi'it. How much you have to eat, kebeitza, kazait, and so on and so forth, to give you the measurements so you can actually enjoy it. If I'm going to, whoa, today's the Shechianos of all the world, right? if I'm going to take you, what is his name? The Jiro, the sushi guy from Tokyo. Right? He gives you, I don't know what, 18 pieces of sushi in 20 minutes or something like that. And then it blows your mind in your pocket, but blows your mind. Imagine I'm going to put you down in this Jiro guy and put you there for 3 hours, eat all you can eat sushi. So it's like at the end, it's like, that's too much. Like, I can't enjoy it, it's enough. So is to everything in life, you have to understand. People that spend like crazy. All these things it shows a spiritual blemish that in a way would afflict their success in life. That is a recipe for becoming a loser. And we need to understand that. We need to internalize that. So what is there for it to do? So what do we need to do? We put a masach. We put a cover, a screen, a filter. We put limits to it. And that schach that we put is a type of a filter, is a limitation. It helps us inside, internal help, and inside the internal protection for my willingness to receive the light in an indirect way, and in a complete direct way. It causes me to receive the light in an indirect way so I can process it. According to Kabbalah, that limitation is called masach. Masach means a curtain, or pargod. So here comes the light, and I'm putting a limit to it in order to be able to deal with it appropriately. I'm just giving you the proper dosage so you could handle that. Okay? So that is that fact in Kabbalah is called Tzila de Mehemanuta. Tzila Mehemanuta means the shadow of Emunah. Now, that screen that caused the shadow on the light does not come to us naturally. It's something that we need to, really internalize and really be willing to accept, first of all, the fact that we really need to work on it very, very hard. And it starts right away with emunah. And emunah is not something that says, yes, I have emunah, I believe. That's not. Emunah is when the things are hard for you, you still going on your derech. That's called emunah. The second secret of the schach is what the Gemara says, Masechet Sukkot, that the schach is really from pruning of trees that we find in the goren, in the vineyards and whatever it is that they have. In other words, it's basically leftovers. So I don't understand. I'm saying I learned all my life how to do hidur mitzvah, make mitzvah the best possible way, and now I'm going to use leftover stuff that somebody pruned his trees. I'm going to use it as schach for my mitzvah. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So again, there's always great secret in that, and the secret is to take what we call in Israel hamitz shel hazevel, the juice of the garbage, the most bad thing, which is, we'll see exactly where it comes, and really the avodah of the Sukkot, sitting in the Sukkah, is really to elevate it over my head, to take it and elevate it over my head. Now the secret is in the word psolet. Psolet. So we need to understand that the psolet that I create, the remnants, the garbage that I create, really comes from my wrongdoing. My wrongdoing. So if you see things that are bad in your life, that's because you're doing something wrong. You haven't perfected yourself. Bad habits. If a person has a bad habit, he most likely would not take ownership on his bad trait. He's going to blame everybody else, nurture, nature, teacher, whatever. But never going to take responsibility and strive to change it. So these will be all the moments in which I hurt others, right? And moments in which, not just by the fact that I'm selfish and I'm, self-centered, but the fact that I only care about myself. That is also pasul, but I don't care about anybody else. When I take people and I take advantage of people, When I'm done, I'm becoming a leech. When I'm done with that person who gives me, I throw him out like a sock in the garbage without even paying attention. Now, it doesn't make a difference if I used him for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. That is garbage that you create. You're creating a bad environment around yourself. And guess what? You become a polluter. You're polluting others. You are polluting the people around you. And you're going to influence people around you. If you're going to see a yard that somebody doesn't take care of it, after a year or so, you'll see that there are going to be 2 of them. And then the whole neighborhood goes down. So if you have a person like this around you, either tell him, listen, fix yourself up, buddy, or just disconnect. Because he's going to poison and pollute you as well. With his attitude. And the psolet is also mishum pasul. It's not only what I'm puzzling. Also, what exactly am I canceling? Posel somebody is like really finding blemishes and so on. So what is the blemishes that I do? I blemish the opinions of others, the way I look at life. I really don't accept the person who looks different than me, less religious than me, uglier than me, fatter than me, skinnier than me, anything like this, richer than me. And sometimes I'm going to find blemishes in myself. I dismantle and dismiss myself as well. And that is something that we learn that you need in order to really fix that. You need to put it over your head, and putting something over your head showing your ownership. You need to own it, and that's another remez of the sukkah. You need to own it and elevate it now to a level of mitzvah. Now you need to fix it, to make mitzvot out of that. And why is that? Okay, so you tell me, why do I need to fix it? Because it's very simple. We say, kol posel, b'mo posel. So if I'm postling him, I'm basically, as we always say, when I point to somebody like this, there's one finger pointing at him, but there's 3 fingers pointing at me. So you basically, when you're talking about other people, basically, first of all, you're talking about yourself. It's a reflection. You are reflecting of others based on what you feel inside. That's why a person who is positive is always going to see things. And I don't see any problem with this. Everything is good. Hanky, they're a pitchy keen. It's all good. I don't see anything wrong with the guy. He's a nice guy. It's okay. But a person who finds bad things in anyone, in everything, cannot see anything good, means that first of all, he needs fix up. He is the one who's bad. He is the one who needs major adjustment. He is the shoresh poreh rosh le'na'ana, in which you need to criticize, you need to put him in place, and you need to tell him, listen, buddy, fix yourself, and if you need help, I'll help you. But you cannot be so negative anymore, because that's affecting me as well. And that's how we get influence. That's why we all get addicted to that. Look at the way people look at TV. They can't live a minute without the news. And what's in the news? Everything bad. And why is that? Because if I'm going to make everything, if I am the manipulator, and I'm going to make everybody bad, or involved in bad, therefore I can push on you my agendas, and promote myself, and that's selfishness. But if you try to find things, to help people, to promote positivity, to see good things, it's a little boring. Nobody wants to hear that. Then you become a good person, but nobody wants to do that. That's why everything today is negative. So a person like this is lacking in a very basic ability to really receive anything that is different than him. That's why he needs to dismantle. He can't deal with somebody who is different than him. And that's why we have problems with racism, with sexism, with all the other problems. That's why we're so distorted. So as a community also, we need to learn to accept people and to enjoy people for who they are. And when you are dismantling others, you really show basically how small of a person you are. When you are a negative person, you are a small person. A small person. A person who is a persona non grata. Nobody wants to be. You should not be here. We don't want you to be